Good greet and merry meet. I'm peeping you from the green zone this time. No more smoke hot tub. Let's go for a walk. A chop. Chop twice. Hi, welcome back. It was really lovely to hear from everybody with ideas on what I should do with this little series that I'm starting up. It was lovely to hear your kind remarks. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that. We'll get to you about the little project I'm starting here. And with your feedback, I've started to come up with kind of a mission statement, I guess let's call it a mission statement, about how I'm going to handle the botanical garden project. So let's take a stroll over there now to our planning office. I started up a planning office to help figure out how I'm going to go about making this whole big project. And of course, I needed an employee, right? And I happen to know the perfect guy. We've been living together for a while, Bobo there, and we've had some minor disagreements along the way. We've had some disputes about the living arrangement, the living situation, and it's fine. We've worked that out. I brought him up the hill here to work at the new planning office because he seemed like just the type of guy I needed. And unfortunately, while I was saving another villager from the nearby cave, he was zombified, and then they were both zombified at the same time. But I rescued him, and we brought them into the new planning office, which I'm going to put the finishing touches on right now. Shut up. The Botanical Planning Gardens Authority. Or don't dead open inside. Welcome to the office. Bobo over here, now, I should talk about that. So Bobo and Sandra here, they've been involved with each other in a number of ways around the workplace that have not quite been appropriate. Bobo, stay the fuck away. Bobo, if you sneak up again behind me again like that, I'm gonna whoop your bottom, young man. I'm gonna whoop you. So I decided to build them their own rooms so they wouldn't get up to those kinds of workplace shenanigans around the office. While it's daytime before they go to sleep, let's check it out. Sandra and Bobo's pad. So they've got their little pad in here with their decorative cactus and their beautiful thingies and a nice little view. I have my own office in the back. I didn't want them using the bed. I'd prefer them to stay together and not in my damn bed. Bobo. Bobo. My little storage zone back here. And while my lovely employees wrap up for the day, as it is getting towards evening, and they keep strict hours, which I respect. I'm a good damn employer. Look, I even got them up. Got the windows. I even got the windows with sheets. Sorry, it's such a stupid fucking joke. Check the bathroom as well. A little paper towel dispenser. A little trick here with the toilet so that we could emulate the actual height of the toilet correctly, so it was not tall-let instead of make short-let, which is correct size of toilet. What's going on around the planning office? Well, first things first, Bobo works reception here. After I unzombified him, I found out, unfortunately, I couldn't train him in any other work. So he's sticking with making the coffee and providing snacks. Sandra's the real brains of this operation over here. You can see she's got her poster of when they went on vacation, but otherwise her cubicle is rather unadorned, except for a motivational poster. Got her coffee here. And in the chest is part one of our project. Sandra's the archivist, and I'd like to keep an archive of what we do here, which means every time we make major changes, I'd like to record this map. We're going to record the first one here just after I finish the bridge and gotten rid of our project down there. Before we make our first tree, as the tree is the next part of the project, I want to record this place as it develops, and the map may get bigger, but I'm only going to record the parts of the map that have actually changed thus far. I'll make before and after snapshots if we overrun this area, but I mean, that's like a lot, that's a couple dozen chunks on our side. I think it'll take a while for us to get anywhere near that. Now let's look at our mission statement, which I've helpfully posted for September 2025. What are we doing here? Oh, beans. Put that back. Mission statement. We aim to emulate real-world foliage in Minecraft through the creative use of materials and through the application of offbeat building techniques. You might have noticed some of those on the way up here. The wisteria trellis in the middle of the garden, being made with fences and fence gates and stuff to emulate the little how do you say, branches. I don't want to try to make things one to one, so I'm gonna follow some of the BOO methods. So this whole project being inspired by a lot of the things that BOO does, because I mean, surprise, that dude's the goat. We're going to use a lot of different materials. My goal is to capture texture, light, color, rather than using, strictly wood and leaves for trees. Maybe something else would work better. We're going to take that step by step. In addition, our goal at this time is not to recreate entire woodlands in full, instead preferring to rely on Minecraft to fill in the blanks between individual scenes. This limited scope may change in the future. And by that, I simply mean I don't want to create an entire woods right now, but maybe later. I don't quite have the gumption to build, uh, 100 trees to fill in the space. What I want to do is instead create landmarks. Each major landmark, usually a tree, will be accompanied by a scene emulating a real world memory. And in this way, I want to kind of take different trees from the real world and pair them up with stories, right? Scenes. So, for example, if we come to our Trees Planted book here, I had some recommendations from y'all, and I have written everything down in my little books here. But the ones that captured me were recommendations that came with a scene attached to them. A weeping willow in a graveyard with a church, or on a farm, a magnolia tree for climbing. I will certainly get to each of these, and I will invent my own story to go with each of them. Perhaps the London plane tree will have a seasonal fruits display of some kind. Perhaps a mangrove will be in a swampy biome. Maybe a chestnut tree. Chestnut tree. They make a lot of stains on the ground from all the tannins in the chestnuts. And for me, and this is story time, redwoods. I saw and touched my first redwoods recently. Take each of these books out and put them in their place right now. But I saw and touched redwoods for the first time only recently. Took a trip out to Oregon with my partner, and her uncle, a very interesting dude who'd kind of been all over the place, had us, well, touch some redwoods. And they were big, not as big as the ones in California, because Oregon is not California. So he took us to a grove of redwoods that were planted in front of a town hall in, I want to say Eugene, Oregon. And they were planted there by the founder, I believe, from just a couple of cones. It said 3 originally that were taken from the redwood forest in California. And what was so striking about this place was not only that the trees were so hilariously out of place. There were maybe 6, 8 of these giant redwoods growing there. None of them as tall as the native forest in California, but they all have a very special property to them. When you touch a tree of that size, where not only are they that big, but they have a single trunk with only small branches coming off of them, there's a special property that they have, where if you place your palm on the tree, and only your palm, not your thumb, you can feel the fundamental frequency of the tree through your hand. When it's windy, the tree will, well, sway in the breeze. And that sway, well, the taller the tree is, the lower frequency the fundamental is, and the more pronounced the resonance is. Let me take a nap real quick here. Yeah. So the larger the tree and the taller it is, the lower frequency the fundamental is, and the more pronounced it will be when you touch the tree in a breeze. There's a really freaky effect to it where it's both grounding, but at the same time it's overwhelming. Because, I mean, you're feeling the weight of this giant ancient thing on your hand, but it's so gentle, and the creak of it, you feel it down through your feet, because now you've attached yourself to a huge resonance. And as it sways, it pushes you. It pushes you more than you'd think. For me, I'm kind of attuned to frequencies just because of what I used to do for work. And so this was pretty astonishing to me. I'd like to create a scene maybe there which relies on sound. Maybe in the with the willow, there could be some visual effects in the air that make it misty. Maybe the London plane tree, we can do something to have fruits falling. Maybe the mangrove tree, we can have swish and fish, all kinds of cute little fish. But I want it to be like a multimedia experience. You know, a memory is a number of different aspects, and why not try to capture all those different aspects? Let's do it special. Let's make a special project. What else have we got coming up? Flowers. A lot of these happen to be my favorite flowers. I haven't figured out how to represent some of them. My favorite on this list being Lily of the Valley, which is in Minecraft, but I want to do something a little more. Another memory there. My parents had Lily of the Valley growing next to a sage shrub on their back porch, which was functionally the front porch because of the way the house was laid out. And they later had to build over it with a deck because they needed a deck, I guess. But I've got to figure out some ways to capture these different flowers in Minecraft. And I'd prefer to keep it vanilla, Sandra. Jot that down, please. I'd prefer to keep it vanilla if I can. Not use any modded things, but maybe there's room for mini blocks, armor stands, who knows? Other plants, I really like the upland sort of moors plants of Wales, England, Scotland. So gorse, heather, hedgerows, maybe have a moorland. In fact, there's a very nice area right across the way here for an upland moor. Sort of a flat area out yonder. For buildings, well, we need a planning building. I did build it for planning. You're currently in the planning building. Jot that down, Sandra. And environments and experiences. I want to have a hiking space in the trees. Let's show you that. Also, this office, I wanted to capture a few different things with the layout here. I wanted it to first be a very welcoming, bright space. Maybe a little inconveniently bright with all the LED lighting, but a bright space like you'd see in a very well taken care of, like 401c3 charities building or organization. I don't know if they all have to be charities, but I also wanted to capture two other aspects. Number one, I want it to be hard to see in the landscape, and we'll see how badly the terracotta up there throws it off. You know, it gives you just enough to tell that it's man-made, but not enough to distract, I don't think. Yeah, out of the corner of your eye, that blends really well. And number two, I wanted to capture the feeling, hey bro, of a building that's meant to be temporary. A building that's meant to be temporary, but has outgrown in scope what it was originally, and it's sort of gradually become permanent. You know, like a trailer that was built here, and then you needed room for like the restrooms because you know you can't have a porta potty the whole time, and then you know your workers need a place to stay, and then you need a storeroom. Ba-boom. I had better put my clothing on. Oh, you'll notice that I have mending now proper. We'll come to mending shortly. Sandra was able to provide those books for hiking. Check this space out. Check out the woods over here. Wouldn't this be a perfect place for a hiking experience, for a hiking trail? Like, look at this. It's hard terrain, but hiking happens on hard terrain. And I don't think... Oh, never noticed that. Oh, criminy. Oh, jinkies. Never noticed that. Hiking happens in hard terrain, though. And there's a lot of options here to have, you know, easy trails for beginners, maybe up on the ridge. Hard trails for skilled hikers along the sides of the cliffs. How about a willow right here in this space? One of these two spaces. They're both kind of a lovely little meadow, you know? Just something to think about. I'll also show you the bridge properly here. Now, you might have noticed this bridge, I was starting on it before. I didn't have a clear vision just yet, but I did decide to sort of do the span that I intend to have, I guess, supported on the sides. I didn't want to do a suspension bridge or, well, is this cantilevered? No, I guess it's just an arch bridge. I don't know much about bridges. I'm going to learn something about bridges so I can figure out how to suspend this reasonably well. And then there's this. So, mending. I said I cheated in mending books. I did. These two. The rest of this is legit, though. And now that I have proper mending books, what I figured I would do is take the existing mending books and blow them up. Take two of the mending books that I had actually traded for and blow them up. See, but now there's a problem with that, right? Because I don't know how TNT minecarts work, and obviously that doesn't do anything. But I thought it would be funny, and my partner agreed if I did a sacrifice. You know, take the mending books that I've traded for and sacrifice them. So I dropped them in this chest right here. Gotcha. Maybe that was a little obvious. But I don't care. I had fun. Show you a little bit of the grounds too. I love this trail here. It reminds me of just the space, this broad open field. It reminds me of the rail trails around my area. I like to go out and bike on those. A rail trail, if you're not from an area that used to have a lot of rail infrastructure and doesn't anymore, is where they take an old abandoned railway line and they pave it over or they tear up the rails, but more often they just dump a very fine gravel on top of it. Not a chunky gravel that you'll trip and fall on or run your bike off of. Although, unfortunately, I have done so twice now. See this head up here? Yeah, it ended up down there on the ground. Very recently, too. But these spaces often have broad areas next to them that are just overgrown, where they used to be rail yards. Or in one case of a trail around here, a Superfund site. Still is. Can't go in there. And so I wanted to create an overgrown space, and this is just the start of it. Like I mentioned, I'm taking a lot of inspiration from BOO because how can you do anything like this and not take inspiration from the goat? There are certain textures I'd like to use in this space to create the impression of ground foliage. You know, because it's not just grass. In the real world, it's not grass. You have all kinds of like little carrot species. Queen Anne's lace is very common around here. Thistles in low-lying areas. Ah, I should mention as well over here, 1 million doggies and 1 million birdies. You might have noticed the birdies on the way, but boy, there's a lot of them. I went on an expedition for bird, and I went ahead and got myself turned around accidentally because I didn't have a map with me. Dumb. So I ended up walking the entire perimeter of a jungle biome, and by the end of it, I had about 15 birds. Check this out. I wanted to have a little trellis here. I like to think of this as wisteria, you know, using different materials to represent the different parts of the branches. You know, the little branches might be pink, the bigger branches might be darker. These might also be buds. And we'll leave it to the imagination. We'll let the form and the color capture it for you, you know? Have it up on a little metal trellis here. This is the sort of philosophy I want to bring to the whole project. Boy, that's pretty in the glow. The glow of the evening. Isn't it? Let's build our first tree, shall we? Well, I've started hashing out my London plane tree. But you see, there's a problem with the form, and while this form might be suitable for another species of tree, the more I'm looking at London plane trees, the more I'm noticing the growth habit is not what I thought it was. It's very much, well, let's make a diorama here, right? It's very much that the trunk remains the same size until you actually start to get parts branching off. And then the trunk is smaller after that for the rest of it. And the branches have a very dominant vertical growth habit. So for example, this might then branch off over this way, and our trunk would be, say, this thickness. Maybe it twists a little bit after that and comes to sort of this line. And then after that, this branch would begin to develop up this way and out a little, and the growth habit moves outward more as you go up the course of the tree. So then the remaining limb is kind of your tall stem, which is very different from the more traditional tree shape that I've chosen here with a much fatter base. They don't seem to develop a much fatter base unless they're very old. So generally, the growth habits I'm seeing here are either you get an older tree with a very fat base and the growth can be a lot more wobbly. You know, it won't be as straight up and down like this. or you get younger trees that are dominated by this straight up and down habit, right? Where it is just one main trunk with every now and then you get a branch that takes away a certain volume of the main trunk. And also, the thing I noticed is that there's not really any prominent roots on the ground. I had those in the original sketch of the tree, but this species just does not have that growth habit. It doesn't put out roots along the ground. In fact, it's damn near a cylinder at the ground level. Even the really old, wobbly, blobby guys, they blob out a little. You know, they might do this, but that's the whole body of the tree. It's never a root. So we're gonna take another crack at this. We're gonna take it from what's the word? We're gonna take from bone. Make new bone for tree. You know, you kick one roommate out, you get another. I like you better than Bobo. Don't tell Bobo I like this guy better than him. He brought me a gift instead of just making slurping noises all the time. Hey, big guy, do you like my bird? I don't think he likes the bird. When I said I don't know anything about TNT minecarts, I was not kidding. Look at this. Couldn't even blow it up right. Come on now. I've been collecting materials a little bit, and this guy still lives here. It's been like 2 days in Minecraft. Do you want to live here? I like this guy better as a roommate than Bobo. All this guy does is walk around. Yo! Yo! He's riding that thing! Look at it! Look at this guy! Oh my fucking god! Look at him! He's a mess! You know what? I love you, my friend. So I don't want to keep you. I'll let you go. You also looked very uncomfortable in that boat. So I had to settle on something eventually for the proper form of the tree. You know, do I want to go with kind of the knobby look? But I sort of like the typical look of the really, like, young trees where they are just kind of ramrod straight at the base and they branch sort of regularly. Because this is my first tree, you know? I don't want to overdo it. So I think this is going to be our form. Tell me what y'all think of this. I think this is going to capture the shape of the tree very well. If we look from a few different perspectives, from above, which I think is an important place to look, whoa, you can see that it's about, oh yeah, it's about symmetrical about the axis. Can I land on it? Yes! Boom. Goat. Oh, goat. But it's about symmetrical around its axis, which feels right. And trees, in my observation, they generally sort of spiral around with the way the branches come out, and I haven't stuck to that precisely because trees are not precise, but I think it does still capture that 3D nature to it. Branches that just go straight up, branches that branch, and then we'll fill all this in with fences, trapdoors, fence gates, walls, anything that we need to achieve that proper shape. So this is going to be the basis for the sculpting. Tell me what you think. And with that, I think I'm going to put a wrap to the episode right there. I don't want to let this come out any later than a week after the first one, so it's time for little old me to get to editing. Yes, indeed. I hope you like it. I hope you like my tree in progress. This is, again, just the form. We're gonna flush it out. We're meet. We're gonna meet. We're gonna meet this tree. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make. We are going to make a tree. Chop 2, chop 3 tree. 3 for tree. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye now. Bye bye now. Bye bye now.